Welcome to the Triumphant Magazine Show. Today we are blessed and fortunate to have Lamont with us and also Marlon. They actually brought out the wonderful movie called Return. So we have them here today on our platform, and we're just so delighted to have them here. I am Teresa Jordan. I am the founder, the visionary, and also the publisher of Triumphant Magazine. And today we wanted to come here Sunday just to let you know that these gentlemen are geniuses at their best. They are brilliant with the work that they have going on in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. So we have, like we said earlier, we have these wonderful gentlemen in front of us, and we're going to have a great time. So at this time, if you could take this and share it with others, we are live on Facebook as well as YouTube. So share it with others. If you have any questions for Marlon or either Lamont, please put it in the comments section. Let us know where you're from. We're going to try our very best to answer those questions that you have right now. If for some reason or other we're miss it after we finish the show, we'll revisit it again. Right, gentlemen? We'll come back to it again and answer your questions that you have. So at this time, Lamont, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, hello, my name is Lamont Gant. I'm an independent filmmaker here in Atlanta, and I'm a producer. I write a little bit of everything, draw a little bit of everything.
Say everything, right? Write and draw. And yourself, Marlon, if you can also introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Hello, my name is Marlon McCaulsky. I'm an author and also a screenplay writer. I work with Creative Genius Films, and we've been here collaborating for the last decade or so.
Yeah.
Oh, so the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a bit. That's a lot of years. Now, when we spoke before, it was amazing to me because I know you, Marlon, you didn't always stay in Atlanta, Georgia. So could
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit of how you moved from wherever you were to get to Atlanta, Georgia? Because there's always a story before the story. So if you can tell us about that, please.
Well, I moved to Atlanta back in 2006.
Okay.
We were living in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's near Tampa. And we just, me and my wife just wanted a lifestyle change, and just being, young people, just wanted to get out of a small city and get into a bigger city and a bigger market. So that's what brought us here to Atlanta.
Okay, awesome. And then also, we spoke to Lamont. Tell us a little bit, because I don't believe you were always in Atlanta, Georgia, were you? If I'm not
No,
mistaken.
no, no. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and I came to Atlanta because of the music industry all those years ago. I had a friend who was in a group, and they were in Atlanta. They just got management. They were putting together an album, and they were like, "Hey, Lamont, we want a track. You want to come down and work with us?" So I came down to Atlanta for about 2 weeks, and I produced a couple of tracks for this group, and I fell in love with Atlanta. It was like culture shock. It was,
Wow.
people doing
That's
amazing things that looked like us, and they were winning,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a part of it. So I
I
was here
know
like,
that's right.
yeah,
I know that is right. It's just amazing to me that you two gentlemen came from two different places. You said one of you came from St. Petersburg, the other one came from Pittsburgh. Two different places, and your lives collided together, which
yeah. We have
is
a
so
mutual
great.
friend.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We have a mutual friend
Oh, mutual friend, with your
that brought
mutual
us
friend.
together. Yeah.
Awesome. So could you tell us, because like we see the Return movie, but I think when we spoke the other day, you had mentioned to me what were your lives like before you went into doing the Return movie?
Well, before it turned, we were doing just smaller films, basically getting a feel for it and seeing if we could do it. Just having fun, really. That's all it was. Just we discovered some things, and every time we did it, the response was bigger than the last, and we just
Wow.
kept going. And then we got to a point where I wanted to do a film that I could actually sell to the public, and
Yeah.
Okay.
and Return was that film
Yeah.
that we decided to, cross all our T's, dot all the I's, and really bring it out to the public.
I
Yeah, it
love
was
it.
really yeah, that's really The Return is really our fourth film that we did. The first few films we like Lamont said, we just wanted to know, could we do this? And then after we did the third film, and we kind of wrinkled out a lot of the imperfections and things that we thought we could do better. Lamont came up with the concept of Return, and we just went forward from there.
Absolutely. And then a couple of questions that I have, because like you mentioned and you highlighted, there are other movies that you have out there. So let's let everybody else know about the other ones you had prior to doing The Return. What were the other ones behind you? I know you have pictures behind you.
Yeah, all of those back there aren't available, but some are available on my website at creativegenesfilms.com. You can definitely see No Time for Love there.
Okay.
Annulment is also.
Annulment is available as well. So also a short film on the website. And then we have a film that I edited and co-produced called Quarantine Bay, which is on Tubi TV. You can check that out. And Returned is on Tubi TV. So if you go to Tubi TV, search Return, it'll be there.
All right.
Okay, outstanding. And another great thing that I love about the two of you, because you told me the history also, I believe you said Marlon had written a book. And if you could tell us about that story, about Marlon writing a book and then the two of you talking to each other. And yes, if you don't mind.
Well, again, we have a mutual friend, K. Roland Williams. And K. Roland Williams, I went to high school with him. And when we got older, became young men, I call him Kenny. Kenny was writing books and being an author. And I was doing music. And I got to a point in my life where I didn't want to do the music industry anymore. So I kind of jumped out of it and went back to my first love, which was drawing and graphics. And then for whatever reason, Kenny came out with a book and he called me and said, "Hey, Lamont, I need a cover." And he came to Atlanta and we talked, and ended up doing a cover for my best friend at the time. And through there, I met Marlon. Because he and Marlon they were on the author circuit doing events and everything. So I met Marlon through that.
Yeah, me and Kenny got signed to the same publisher around the same time. At the time, it was Triple Crown Publications. Okay. And then both of our books were coming out around the same time. And after that, we decided to do a book together. And that's what really brought me to Lamont, is through a release party that we had for our joint book. And that's when I met Lamont.
Right. And then you was telling me, which I didn't know, because we know the two of you as the movie, but the fact that Lamont also does graphics, because I believe you said he did like the cover of one of your books, right?
Yeah, actually, it was the Used to Temporary Happiness book that I was getting ready to put out, and I needed a cover, so I knew who to go to, so I reached out to Lamont, and that's how that got started.
Well, it was a step before that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for, gentlemen. Give it to us. Give it to us. That's what I'm looking for.
Marlon, after I met Marlon, we talked and I, learned what he was about. He had put out a book, and I hated the cover, right? I ended up contacting him and telling him I hated the cover. And he
didn't put it in those words though, but yeah, he wasn't pleased with the cover.
But I sent him what I felt like it should be, and then that started it. That picture ended up becoming his cover, and then after that was like,
we just kept on collaborating. Yeah,
that's it. But and that's what I wanted to hear, because imagine like how you said you told let's say Marlon about the cover. I love the fact that Marlon was receptive, because who would have known that one day you would be doing movies together? I mean, both life have shifted and turned tremendously over you saying something, because everybody else probably went along with the cover, but you did something that resonated with Marlon and vice versa. And I love the fact that both of you have mad respect for each other. So a lot of times we're not receptive to having constructive criticism, but the fact that it just took y'all world to a different level. I was looking at YouTube at your video, and it shows that YouTube alone, it showed that there was over 718,000 views on The Return. So I tell you that is, I mean, you ought to give yourself a pat. I'm gonna give it to you, because I'm telling you, it's very creative. And all the comments that I was looking at, everybody was saying, which we're going to talk about later. They was talking about they wanted to hear about a part 2. But I tell you, just the part 1 itself, I never seen sci-fi brought to the definition or to define the way you have defined it, gentlemen. Y'all have taken it to an absolute different level. So I'm telling you, my husband watched it. He said the fact that you gentlemen you have set it aside, like the way you do your sci-fi is like no other, no other.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, to go back to what you were saying before, the friends I like to have around me, if I see them trying to build something and I can add value to it,
I love it.
I love to be a part of it.
I've
always been that way. So once I got to know Marlon a little bit, he put that out. If you feel like you can do it better, you should share that. You know,
that's it. I love it.
People. So that's how that began, and I like people around me that do the same thing. If you feel like you can make what I'm doing better, please, share it with me. But when we made Return, I did a lot of research on stories and characters and how to build them. And once I came up with the idea for Return, I wanted people with me that would help me bring that to life. So I have Marlon to help me with that dialogue and getting deeper into these characters. And then we had Victoria Marie, who gave the characters more depth, so they can be relatable to people.
Yes. Hello. They'll come back in.
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, and we met every week, and basically I had the log lines of the film. So from beginning to end, I had the log lines of how I wanted the film to go, and I would share that with Marlon and V, and we would kind of give each other assignments, and then we met a week later, and we kind of checked those, and we added to it, and we just kept doing that consistently until it was done.
Yeah, it was kind of like a brain trust. It was just like a writer's room, so to speak. Our version of a writer's room.
Well, the idea to do that though came from a book I read called How to Be a Millionaire.
Oh wow!
there was a chapter in there that talked about how to do that, putting together a group of minds. And basically my job in there is just to kind of facilitate it. Just make sure that Marlon and V got along,
right?
And the project kept going forward. So I took that principle into this, and it worked. It worked beautifully.
It did work beautifully. And thank you for telling us about the book. We're going to have to make sure we go out there and get it as well. So thank you for telling us about that. Now, the next question, let's talk about the name of your business, Creative Genius Films. How did you decide to come up with that name?
That idea came around from my birthday. I was doing stuff with Kaya Jefferson, and like I said, when I was doing the book covers, they turned into book trailers. And even when I was doing music, I always had this young lady, Kaya. She's been with me through all those creative changes. And my birthday came around, and she sent me a text and said, happy birthday, you creative genius. And I liked it. It felt good.
It is.
So when the time came to come up with something to build our films on, Creative Genius Films was it.
It's perfect. And it takes a genius to do the work that the two of you are doing. I tell you now, because you told me some great stories about how do you decide who you're going to use for your cast, like with the Return. What did you do to get to the point to say, okay, these are the people I want to have in this first one that we're doing?
I handpicked everyone. Some of them are folks that I've worked with on our previous films, and in others, I went out and looked for them at red carpet premieres. I prefer that as opposed to having people email me,
reels
and all that. Yeah, I like a more hands-on. I'm an energy guy, so I like to meet people and see how they vibe. And so that's what I would do. I would go to a red carpet premiere. I would sit in the back, and if I see somebody I liked, I would approach them at the end of the film. And that's how it went with Blue Kimball as the lead. I saw him in the film supporting Saeed.
Yeah.
And, you introduce yourself, you tell them who you are, and then you kind of have to build your relationship from there. So that's what I did with Blue. When I met him, We invited him to my home, did the green screen thing so I can show him what type of effects I wanted to do. And that's what really sold him on working with us to make the film. And he stayed with us from beginning to end. But that process worked best for me, just hand picking everyone, or just asking an actor that I have in my circle and say, can you recommend a female actor who has, you know, X, Y, Z? And then we'll choose from that. And it kind of breaks the ice, because as soon as you start filming and that person comes over, they already know people on the set. So it kind of allows you to skip past that, because, you know, being in this industry is kind of it's a vulnerable industry. You have to go to places that might be embarrassing to other people, but when you know the people around you, it gives you the confidence to be vulnerable. So working with people that you know or that's recommended, it makes the set a lot more comfortable. I like to give people license to be creative.
Yeah, and that trust, it builds a lot of trust, you know, when we do that, when we do it like that.
I love it. And then let's talk about you, Marlon. What made you? Because I believe the book was out before the film, right? Am I correct in saying that? The Return, Marlon. So once again, don't forget, if you have comments or anything, make sure you put it inside here. We'll try our very best to answer those questions that you have. Definitely let us know which state you're coming in from. And let's take advantage of having Lamont and Marlon here. So any questions you have, please definitely let us know. Please let us know. And we thank you for joining us right now. Okay. But as we were saying a minute ago, Marlon, could you, the book Return, was the book Return out before the movie, or you want to tell us? I know you had the book.
Actually, we developed the book. I think the book technically came out a little before the movie premiere, but it was written while we were filming the
so you was doing everything together.
Yeah. Actually,
tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, the process of it, that was Lamont's idea, really. We because I'm an author. Visionaries, she's an author, so it has made sense for us to do a novelization of the book. And after we wrote the screenplay and we started shooting, Lamont came to us with the idea, say, "Hey, we should probably turn this into a book too."
Yes,
so that's perfect. So it just kind of worked out that way.
I love it, because then, like you said, people couldn't get the DVD. Like I met the two of you gentlemen at the Fresh Book Festival. Definitely don't want to leave Miss Donna out. That's what created this huge connection that we have right now, and I'm able to talk to the two of you. But you had your books there, you had your DVD there, and we was able to come to you, talk to you, approach you. So I know there, I think you said in Atlanta, you do quite a bit of different things, going out to different places, right? Is that correct? Yeah. You want to tell us a little bit about that, please?
Well, after the film came out, we started getting requests to come to different conventions around Atlanta, sci-fi conventions. And at that time, like I said, we had no idea they existed. So we had Honest Con with Joseph Wheeler. We became partners with Honest Con and did them for a few years, actually, premiering the film and just supporting them.
Also Milton Davis,
State of Black Science Fiction. We did some things with them, and we did some other stuff with some of the bigger cons. And it really taught us that there's a platform out there to sell our genre directly. You know, because a lot of times you have filmmakers that'll make a film and it might be an urban film or a love film, and you have to find ways to get it to the audience that love those films. That's the challenge. Get it to the people that want it. And for sci-fi coming to us, that community, it really gave us a platform to go where, you know, our fans are and sell it to them directly, face to face, regularly. You know what I mean? Like several times a year. So once Return came out, 4 or 5 years, even now, 6 years later, we're still going to conventions, selling to our fans directly.
I believe you.
And that's another thing too. For a lot of independent filmmakers and films, especially a few years ago, when they would come out, that they'll have that big premiere or viewing, you know, for their film, and then after that, you wouldn't hear anything
about it.
Nothing else.
And it's like, you know, what do you do once you do your premiere? You know, your film is just sitting on the shelf. And
That's
fortunately
true.
for us, we had these conventions that we can go to and let people know, this is our film, this is sci-fi, check it out.
Right. But you know where that came from.
Where?
There was a blueprint to that. I love Will Packer as a producer.
Yeah.
I love Will Packer, and I watched something with him where he talked about what their blueprint was for their first film and how they got it out to people. They made a big deal out of it. This was before the internet when they were doing it, but they took their film to these different cities manually and showed it to people, to their fans.
Oh, wow.
And they made a big deal out of it. So
That's
I
it.
had to do the same thing. I took that same route. Once we finished our film, we did some red carpet premieres. We did some book signing / red carpet premieres. I wanted to look professional every time we put it on social media.
Yes.
I try to stay away from camera phone stuff, images. And, I try to stay away from that. I try to keep things as professional as I could. And that attracted distribution companies. A lot of them, we already had distribution based on how we looked on social media, which is a compliment to me.
It is. It is a huge compliment, like you said, very huge compliment.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we made a big deal out of our film, and we kept it relevant, and people took notice.
Yeah.
That's it. Which is outstanding and excellent, like you said, on your parts. And I love the fact that when I was I'm sorry, Lamont, how you mentioned when you go to these red carpet events or you have events for the people that you have in your cast, you do something different than any other director. So tell me what you do for your cast.
The red carpet experience.
Well, a lot of what I do in my red carpets came from those events I went to, because it taught me again what not to do, what to do. I went to one where I saw, after the film, I saw some of the cast come out and they were standing around in the lobby like, I hope somebody recognizes me, and I hated that. Like, I went to him and said, hello, I like what you did. You know what I mean? Because you want people to see what you did. You want to feel special. And I get that. So for our premieres, I would hire a media company and set it up right there on the red carpet, and tell all my cast, when you come out of the theater, go right to the host, and she's going to interview, have fun, be yourself. And I told the host, ask him anything you want, but the one question I want you to ask is, what was it like working? And what happened?
Don't forget, if you have comments, please put your comments inside. Could you repeat that last part? I think it's freezing up a little bit. So repeat the last part that you said again. For some reason or another, it's freezing up. Could you repeat that, what you said again, please?
In regards to the red carpet premiere?
Please, it froze up for some reason. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I would tell the host of the media company I hired to interview everyone that comes out of the theater as far as the actors are concerned, and ask them anything you want. And the one question I wanted them to ask for me was how it was working with the director. And I'm so glad I did that, because I learned some things about how people thought about me. So
what are some things you learned? What are some things would you say you learned?
I realized how appreciative they were, and how much they appreciate my creativity and putting my ideas out there, because it can be a little embarrassing, I guess. Or when you do sci-fi, they're like ideas in your head, and you put them out there in front of a bunch of people, and you want people to like it. But I always took comfort in knowing I did my best, and I felt so. If you didn't like it, it's okay. I did my best, and that was my comfort. But they appreciated it, and I love the fact that they shared that. So
yeah, I think ultimately you never know what you have until somebody else tells you.
Absolutely.
I mean, that goes for film, that goes for books, or anything. You could think it's the best thing in the world, but until you get that confirmation from somebody else outside of your circle, that lets you know you're moving in the right direction.
That's it. And then I also like the fact that Lamont, you're also, and thank you, gentlemen, for responding and your feedback. And I'm gonna tell you a couple of things. Laretha on here said, "Great to see both of you again." We also have Jack on here. He says, "Any luck approaching? Looks like Georgia Public Radio." And then somebody else has on here. Looks like it's Kelly. And she has on there, what came out of your first film or manifest, because it seems like something looked like The Returned. And then who else do we have on here? We have this movie. The movie was phenomenal. Somebody said this is a phenomenal movie. I was fortunate enough to watch it in private viewing at the Fresh Book Festival. Looks like Maurice Todd put that on here, that he was fortunate to be able to watch it at the Fresh Book Festival with Donna M. Graybanks. If you haven't been to any of her festivals, it's always in the beginning of January, the first week. I want to say it's on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They definitely take advantage to come to it this upcoming year, which is 2023. But I wanted to go back to Lamont. Lamont, you mentioned to me, like, a lot of times when you give like your cast lines, you said there's something else that you do differently than other, let's say, directors, as far as how you respond to what they may want to put input in. Could you give us a little bit of that, please?
I'm trying to think what it was we talked about on that. We talked about so much.
I think necessary. I think I know. As far as like when we're writing a script, and then once the actors, what we write on paper sometimes sounds good, but when you say it in real life,
absolutely
it sounds a little weird. Yeah.
Okay.
So we allow our, we allow our actors to sometimes ad-lib a line or two, or say something a little different than what's written in the script. Because if it sounds better coming out somebody's mouth than it does on paper, we're gonna go with what you're saying.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sorry to cut you off, because I feel like we're still learning ourselves. I don't want to put something in a screenplay and give it to somebody and be like, there are some directors out there that do that, where it's like, I want you to do exactly what's on the paper.
That's what I wanted to hear.
And for some, that's their thing. But for me, I like a little feedback, because I want to make sure we got all the angles. So give me a little feedback when you get the lines. If you feel like your character shouldn't say it a certain way, or
once again, remember to put any questions that you have in here, and we'll try our very best to respond to them while you're on here. So once again, if you have any kind of questions for Lamont or Marlon, please put it in the chat. And
okay, yes, you're back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. So thank you for answering those questions for us. And I tell you, I just absolutely love it. And the next question that we have for you is, why, like, out of all the films, you could have thought of any other film besides sci-fi. Why was the sci-fi part important to the two of you? Both of you can answer, because both of you in this together. So yeah.
Well, I grew up on sci-fi, so sci-fi is in my blood. And even when we were doing Use of Temporary Happiness, you might see some lens flares in there. That was my sci-fi coming out.
Special effects going on.
Little special effects in the background, because I just had to get it out of my system. So once the time came to do a sci-fi, I just needed a great subject. So the plane had crashed, the Malaysian plane had crashed, and I thought, what if somebody came back from that? What would that story be? And, of course, I'm thinking, if it was aliens, how would that story go? So that's when the log lines came, and that's when I brought Marlon in, and we kind of hashed it out. And we tried several different avenues, but again, sci-fi was always in my blood. So that's
always there.
Yeah, and it's not a thing that we didn't even really know that a lot of people weren't doing on an independent level, weren't doing sci-fi. Right. We just decided, okay, this is the route we're going to take. And then once it got out that we're doing sci-fi, people are like, wow, you guys are, Black people are doing sci-fi and on an independent level. Like, how are you doing that?
Right. But the cool thing was Marlon was into sci-fi, and at the time I didn't know it.
Wow.
Because Marlon, his books are urban fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I came to him with the sci-fi, I didn't know he was, but it turns out he loves sci-fi and animation just like I do. So when I talked about certain things, dealing with heroes and sci-fi and aliens and ships, he was already there, and he knew exactly
already
where I was
there.
coming from. So I think that's where our vibe came from. That vibe, it worked.
And I think there's another thing too, is like not to put ourselves in boxes. Like, yes, I like urban romance, I like action, I also like sci-fi, I also like superhero. So I think people are more multifaceted than we give them credit for, especially when it comes to Black sci-fi. It's like, yeah, Black people, we like sci-fi too.
Yeah.
Well, I can honestly say I never saw an all-Black cast, so hats off to you. I mean, when I see it, it's always been different, and to see it, somebody look like me on there, and everything else, and directed and written and everything else was, it was just something else. So I'm excited. So I'm going to ask the question that I know everybody else wants to know, because you already have the Return 1 out. So will there be a Return 2? Is there a Return 2 coming out?
Yes, there's a Return 2 coming out. And it's funny because once we finished Return 1, we started writing Return 2. And we had to speed up on the production of it because there was such a huge request for it that I did not see coming. Like the platform you were talking about, there were 700,000 views, but 600 comments, and many of them are asking for Return 2. So we turned that screenplay into a novel. Same thing we did with Return 1, and then we published both of them. I did a new cover for Return 1, and then we put it out with Return 2. So both those novels are available right now on Amazon.
Okay.
So go to Amazon, search me, search Lamont Gant, and those films will come up. And of course, if you search Marlon McCaulsky, all his books will come up.
Yeah. Or you can just go to creativegeniusfilms.com and you can see the links for the books and film.
Yeah.
Okay. So they'll be able to pull both of them off of there, the books and the film. Okay. Outstanding. So do we have like a projection? Are we looking at this year being able to see it, or
Return 2? It might be next year because I still have meetings coming up just to help me with the marketing and promoting of this film. So again, when we did Return 1, we didn't really know what we were doing. We were kind of making up as we went. But after meeting some professionals during our journey, we learned there were better ways to do some of these things. Right. So we're kind of taking those steps for Return 2 just to ensure that it wins.
Yeah, and doing things. For us, we're more creatives than business, than executives. So that first time we did Return 1, it was a learning process for us.
I believe you.
We were just so concentrated on the creative aspect of getting the film done. Is it going to make sense? No, whatever it took to get it done creatively, we didn't know too much about the business side. So after getting our distribution deal, we learned a lot about what it takes on the business side. So we're going to apply that to Return 2.
Right. They asked me when the film got distribution, I'm talking with the owners and stuff. They asked me what were my film's selling points. I was like, I never thought about that.
It's done.
Yeah. So that was when the business side of it, I had to consider those things, like what were the selling points? What will we use to get people to want to buy the film? Just a lot of things like that we had to learn, like on the ground running.
Yeah.
So that's it. But imagine, I mean, if you were able to do as much as you did without some of those things you didn't know, imagine what how to Return 2 and anything else the two of you gentlemen put your hands on is going to go. It's going to exceed all of our expectations.
We know now. Yeah. We know now.
That's the approach now.
That's it. So what would you say to somebody out there that's also wanting to be able to become a director, a movie director, or they want to be able to become an author, or they want to do a combination of both, like you two gentlemen are doing? What kind of advice would you like to give them?
First of all, just do it. I mean, just start doing it. You can't, in a car, you can't move forward unless you're driving. You know what I'm saying? You can turn the wheel, but you're not going to get anywhere until you're actually rolling. Even if you're rolling in the wrong direction, you have to start. You have to start, writing. You have to start, get a camera to start filming. I would say that's the first thing. You have to start.
Right.
I
agree with that. Definitely start going in that direction, because waiting for the perfect day, to me, it will never happen.
That's true.
But if you have that desire to make a film, really start making it. And if you have faith in it, you'll be surprised how many blessings start to come to help fill that path. Things will start happening, and you don't know why, but because you're going in that direction, you start getting the support. But if you never start, you'll never get that support.
Yeah, because all you do is talk about, I want to make a movie. I want to write a book. Okay, everybody wants to write a book. Everybody wants to make a movie. But once people start seeing you move in that direction, then they're like, oh, okay, how can I help?
Right.
That's true.
And two, know your value, know your worth.
That's it.
Have in your mind, when you make something, believe that it's going to be successful. You know what I mean? Don't put out there like it might win. You really kind of have to take it from a perspective of it's going to win. So make the right decisions to secure that.
That's
you know what I mean? Moving forward, don't wait. But know your value, because when we made Return and I sat in there with the distributor, I did not know what we had. I just knew we had something that we put our hearts and souls into, and we felt good about it. And that was it. We didn't have a fan base or anything like that. And I feel like, looking back on it, not knowing our worth kind of hurt us going into that deal. So know your worth going in. And I would say even go a step further. If the distributor doesn't know your worth and doesn't offer you anything, start off a little smaller with smaller distribution platforms, and see if you can generate an audience that way, because that audience is what's going to give you that value when you sit down with a distributor.
Right.
That's true.
Because it's undeniable. If you got 700,000 views of a project and you sit down with a distributor, they can't say, well, we want to take your film, but we're not going to give you anything for it. You know what I mean? It's like, you see what it has, you see what it's worth. Approach me as such.
That's it.
Don't just take the film and don't
just give it away.
Yeah, don't just give it away. Yeah. Right.
Well, like you both mentioned some awesome points. Like you said, you want to know your worth. And like you said, just go ahead and do it. Stop holding yourself back. Go ahead and do it. Now, there is a question out here. Somebody by the name of Jack says, who did all the makeup and hair? Everyone looked so polished. They want to know who did the makeup and hair.
Ooh, that was a long.
But let's talk about the main with Diane and Alien, as far as that team that did the makeup.
Oh, okay. With the Alien makeup, that was a young lady that was Maha and Antonio Tiggs did the makeup for the Alien in that. Yeah. But for the makeup for the characters, I hired different makeup artists here and there, because like I said, no one knew us. We were just hiring anyone who wanted to help. Yeah. So I can't remember everyone who did makeup for it, but there were several makeup artists in that. And Diane did her own makeup on some of those.
She did her own makeup?
Yeah, she did her own makeup on some, which was a huge help, because it was difficult to manage a lot of that. Yeah, they saved us many times doing their own makeup. And they knew we didn't have a makeup artist, so they would take that extra step. Like I said, it adds value to the project when you see a void and you step in and you fill it without us having to necessarily ask you.
Yeah. And plus the way we went about getting our actors excited about our, this film that we were making. Yes. Every week we would, show them a little clip of what they did the previous week, and they would be excited, and they'll want to bring their A game, because they're seeing what's happening, and then they'll be more invested.
Right.
I love it. That is so awesome. Like you said, that you gave them a reason to want to come back and put more into it instead of doing everything all at one time.
Right. This film has so much.
Yes.
And there was a good portion of it that was special effects. So I wanted to make sure that they knew what was going on. I didn't want them just acting in it blindly and not seeing what I was seeing. So again, I would edit it. Like we would shoot on a Saturday, I would edit the entire week. And then when we shot again the next Saturday, I could show them what they did. And it kind of gave them a better idea of what they want their actors to do and what they want them to be and how they want them to act. It really gave them insight on what the final product was going to look like.
Right.
So it helped tremendously, and it kept artists involved in it, because had I not done that, I'm pretty sure they probably would have left halfway through.
Yeah, it took a while to do this. So
it took a while to do it.
If you're just constantly working and you're not seeing the fruits of your labor or what's going on, it's hard to stay invested.
Yeah.
Right. How long would you say it took you? Like 6 months, a year, a little bit longer than that to get everything together?
It took a year.
Okay, that's still pretty good.
We had to shut down a few times because we have working actors and actresses. So if they had something going on, they would take that month or 3 months off in Blue's case. And then when they came back, we would jump right back in and keep going.
See, and I love that. So you even work with your actors, like you said, because many of them did other things, but you worked around their schedule. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then I had another question for you. And let me see if we have any other questions, but I know I have another question as well. A couple more. Let me see. Okay, so the next question is, and it's from Lee Thomas, Lee, and it says, what is the biggest, it says, what is the biggest film lesson you've learned from filming? That's a great question. Great question.
Ooh, the biggest lesson I've learned from filming? It's funny because that's a two-part question to me, because I have a lesson from the business side, and then there are lessons from the filming side. But
so you can give it to us both ways.
But from the filming side, I would say know the business. Like, know the business, because you have a creative side and you have a business side. Know the business going in, because there are things you need to take care of the day of filming, like contracts.
Release forms.
Release forms. You have to get that handled as you're making the film, because no distribution company, reputable one, will want to touch you at the end of the day if you don't have that. Right. So learn the business, before you start putting stuff out there. Especially when it comes to like logos and companies in your film. You need to get clearance for that stuff. So you might have to, make sure you don't have that in your film. Like if you got on some Nike shorts or something in your film, that'll be a problem if you get a distributor who wants to put your film out. So the biggest lesson is have your contracts together, and
be mindful of what you're shooting when you're shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do your due diligence. Do your due diligence.
Yeah. If you want to win in this industry, then do your due diligence. And as far as creative goes, pre-production. The quality of your film at the end of the day depends on how well you did with your pre-production. So do your due diligence on your pre-production.
Storyboard.
Whether it be storyboarding or
rehearsals
or blocking or whatever.
Whatever you need to do.
You have to get rid of anything that could go wrong. I try to minimize that as tight as I can, so that the day of, it's almost a guarantee it'll go right.
I love it.
So you try to control as much as you can.
I found that when we were shooting, a lot of times you would have a shot list or a storyboard.
Right.
And once you know what you need to get, and you get those out right out the way, and then we still have time left over, we can do extra stuff. But once you primarily have your shot list and you have it done, then you can go ahead and be more creative and be more free, or do multiple takes. So
Now, what are some things? What are some things people may not know about the first return? Like it'll be a surprise to them if they found out this or they found out that. What, as far as the different things you did, the different the steps, the different skits, the different things you put into motion.
A surprise?
I know one main thing.
So give it to me, Marlon. What's the one thing?
The airport scene.
Yes.
To me, that's one of the biggest. I always, when I'm watching it with somebody, I always pay attention to their reaction during that scene, just to see, you know, if we pulled it off, you know, correctly. And 100% of the time, it's always, oh, really? That wasn't real.
I didn't know, to be honest with you. I didn't know at all.
Yeah, that's a big compliment right there.
It is. The only way I found out, to be honest with you, was when we did the Fresh Book. No, I don't even think it was the Fresh Book Festival. You came back to Orlando, not Orlando. You came back to Daytona Beach, and you were at Embry-Riddle. And when you was at Embry-Riddle, Miss Donna Gray Banks mentioned about the airplane, but I watch it over and over, and I still don't get it. Still don't get it.
Yeah. Well, we you know, the airport was a big part of the film, part of the story, and we had to have an airport scene to set up these characters, and we tried the route, you know, going to the airport, seeing what it would cost. It cost thousands, really, with insurance and all that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was ridiculous for the independent filmmaker.
I believe you.
So I waited till toward the end of the film to make a final decision. And the final decision was, let's do a green screen and let's use special effects, and we'll put it in there that way. I did my due diligence once again to make sure that I could pull that off. And what you see was the final product. And the fact that people didn't realize that, it means they're in that dream. I got them.
Still don't realize it.
Yeah,
and that's another one of the joys of being an independent filmmaker is you have to be resourceful, because your resources are limited. So you have to think outside the box.
Right. Filmmaking is like 80% resource. It really is.
80%. Wow.
Yeah. If you build relationships, you can create a film with little to no money, really. You really can. But if you approach filmmaking from I need money, you'll never get it done.
Oh, I believe you.
You'll never get it done. So
I need $100,000 to do this film. Good luck, but that might not happen.
Do it.
Yeah, while they're raising the money, we'll be making our film.
Right.
So
that's it. That's it. I tell you, that's awesome. I like I said, you gentlemen, you did an impeccable job, because for a movie like that and for it to be out there like it is, I would think you gentlemen been doing it for like years and decades. Like how you say y'all been together for 10 years. I would think y'all been doing it for 10 years and greater. So there's a lot of potential, so much that's going to be coming out of what you continue to do. So we thank you for bringing it to us, allowing us to be able to see it from a different perspective, because we never seen it that way before.
I think a lot of it has to do with the story itself. It's like, it's sci-fi, it's fiction, it's not real, but we try to make the story as relatable to people like as we could. Like, if you were in this extraordinary situation, realistically, how would you feel? What would you do? So I feel like as long as you could tell a good story, you could have the fantastical stuff happening in the background, but as long as you get people invested into that story, that's what's gonna hook them. You know, it's not gonna really matter that your special effects are not, you know, Hollywood level, or you don't have big name actors in your film, but as long as people are invested into that story, once that happens, you got them.
Yeah, the story definitely outshines the budget, and that's why we put so much time into it, because people were so into the story that, and never mind the effects weren't as good as, you know, the Hollywood level, but it was enough to keep you in it. And I'm blown away still to this day that people still want to know how we made it, and you know.
Well, and as you mentioned, it was done in 2015, right? 2015. So you're talking about 7 years later, and I don't think it hit the surface of everywhere. You know, it's still growing and doing things.
It still has ways to go. Yeah, and I spoke with a distributor, and I was told they love your film all over the world. You know, from Africa to Hawaii. Oh, wow. They love the film. So
all the way in Africa. Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Canada, all over the place.
Wow. So we have another question on here, and it's a great question. It says, how about a how-to book for new filmmakers. So they want y'all to work on something for new
How-to book.
filmmakers.
Wow, never thought about a how-to book.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great question, and that's from Jack.
I think it's everybody. We could only talk about our experience and how we did it, but everybody has different resources and different situations that they're available to them. So I don't know. It'll be kind of.
I think they're trying to tell the two of you something. They want you to write something for them. I don't think they care about nobody else's perspective. They want to hear from Lamont and Marlon. They want y'all to come up with a book.
That's something to think about. Like I said, I never thought about that before. I do like to share that during my events. You know, when I do events, I'll tell them how I did certain things. But I never thought about a book. So I don't know.
That's something to think about. Excellent question, Jack. Excellent question. What about, do you want to tell us a little bit about who your new cast is going to be, or do we want to wait until later to find out who the new cast is? Or
we're gonna wait for that one.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so let me see. We have a couple of more questions. Oh, great. What are some valuable lessons that you well, we already talked about return. What's some valuable lessons that Lamont and also Marlon that you learned from others? Like whether it be a conversation, somebody said something to you and it still resonate with the two of you today, that's helped you along with the return and everything else the two of you want to put in your hands on.
Oh, there are a ton of things.
You give us a couple of them then.
I'm trying to think which ones I can actually touch on, and a lot of them are just personal things that I've learned that I put in place. I don't know, because I feel like it helps my day go better. It helps what I do be more successful. And they may sound kind of corny, but I when it comes to be creative, it takes a lot of energy to do that, and you really have to train your mind to work at its best, and which means keeping out negativity, negative people, negative situations. Yes. And one thing I did when I first started making films, but when I did Return, it was just like on steroids, is I would write down everything I want to accomplish every day. And I would do that in the morning, write everything I want to accomplish that day. And whether I did it or not, or I knew I could do it, I put it on there anyway. I really try to overwhelm myself a little bit, because my philosophy is if you're not like a little bit out of control, you're not doing enough. And I believe that, because if you're always comfortable, how are you really achieving, to me, great things? If you're always in control. But when you're a little bit like, I got so much going on, so much coming at me, to me, that's when you're at your best.
I believe it.
So I would fill up my tablet that I walked around with every day with just a bunch of things, and I would highlight it off as I achieved it. And when I tell you, when we did Return, it was crazy, because I look back on it, it's like, wow, I can't believe I did all that. But
accomplished it all.
If you write it down, you won't forget it. You can always, refer to it and get it done. And I did that for an entire year with Return.
I believe it.
It's one of the best multitasking techniques I have ever experienced. But write it down and achieve it like your life depends on it.
Write it down.
For real. Yeah. Like if you say, I need to find a studio and it has to be in this amount of money or whatever, this budget, man, don't lay down until you find it. You know what I mean? Or at least find something in that direction. But when you do that, it's like you'll achieve so much. I mean, it's like, and then you surround yourself with people that believe in you, not nobody that doubts or whatever, but just surround yourself with people that when you see them, their eyes light up. Hey, Lamont, what's up, man? I love being around people like that. Because it makes me work harder. It makes me want to achieve more. And that's it. And like, there's a lot more, but basically that's it. Write the stuff down and surround yourself with just positive people that respect what you're doing.
I love it.
Love what you're doing and bring value to what you're doing.
I love it. Those are awesome. And then Marlon, would you like to add on to that as well?
Well, my process is a little simpler than that. You know, Jack Daniels goes a long way.
He said Jack Daniels.
But no, but seriously, from my standpoint, is really just surrounded, like Lamont said, having positive people in your life that
Right.
believe in what you're doing. That especially when you're on set, having positive energy really, really helps, and it really motivates you to get it done, because everybody's on the same page, everybody's moving in the same direction.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I tell you, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I remember I read a book one time and it was about write it down, just similar to what Lamont and also you're saying, Marlon. And I think in the book, if I'm not mistaken, it was talking about how Oprah wanted to make 10,000. And then I look at Oprah now, she's the richest woman out there,
Right.
and she wrote it down. So it started somewhere. And then I had a young lady a long time ago. She's doing well. She has like three different businesses and have multiple streams of income. And she was talking about how one time she forgot what she had wrote down. She had put it somewhere, and I guess as she was moving, she pulled up the list that she had of what she wrote down, and everything she wrote down had came into existence. But
Yeah.
I love it. I love it the way you said it. You have to stick with it. Stick with the plan. Like you said, you write it down. Don't just write it down, but stick with it and work it. So thank you
Right.
for sharing that with us and surrounding, like how you said, yourself around positive people that are wanting to accomplish things like yourselves. So the
Right.
next question that I have, I'm trying to see if we have any other questions. Remember, you can put questions in here. Take advantage of this time that we have Lamont and also Marlon. So if you have any questions, please put it in comments section and we'll make sure we address it. The next question that we have is Marlon and also Lamont. Who are some of your favorite movie directors as well as authors?
For me, on the author side,
Yeah.
Eric Jerome Dickey is probably one of my favorite authors. Zane, Tracy Brown, um, who else? Authors like that, Quan. Those are some of my favorite authors that inspired me. I would say Eric Jerome Dickey is probably at the top of that list for me. Always makes me want to go back and write something better after reading his work, and yeah, that really motivates me.
Okay. And for me, it's a lot of different directors because I like them for different reasons,
Okay.
different approaches. But
Tell us the different reasons and tell us who they are.
there's a lot of them, but I'll tell you a few. There's one. His name is Dennis Villeneuve. I think I said his name right. Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard different ways,
Yeah.
but Dennis did some great films. Blade Runner, Doom. The way he tells story about his characters, I absolutely love it. And the cinematography that he uses to do it just blows me away. Zack Snyder, same thing. I love his action. He's one of them popcorn directors. When you sit down, he entertains you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really about. I mean, you want great stories and great characters and all, but you want to be entertained. And he's
Yeah.
one of those directors. J.J. Abrams is one of them. You got Michael Bay that I love. But again, I like them all for different reasons. And Return has a little bit of all those guys in it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's like I said earlier, that's brilliance. Now, any upcoming things that you want to mention to everyone they'll know about some upcoming things that you're working on, whether it be in Atlanta, Georgia, or somewhere else?
I have a film coming up. It's a short film. It's called Ladies Night 2077. And it's a futuristic film about some young ladies in that Blade Runner genre. And because I love sci-fi, I love that cyberpunk genre. And this film is in there. It's fun. It's musically driven, and I'm working on it now, and I am casting for it. So
okay,
if there's some young ladies out there that would be interested, and I would say in the late 20s, mid 30s age range.
What are you trying to say, Lamont? I'm messing with you.
I say that because in this story, these ladies, they go to a club and
Okay.
they're business. They're one of the business owner, but they go to a club together. So I wanted them to be. I don't want to be too serious. You know, there's a little
Right.
fun and maturity in
Yeah,
there.
a little whimsical.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to have that vibe. So I didn't want to go too old. I know what you're saying, but I didn't want to go too far with it because I feel like they wouldn't match.
Understandable. What are the ages again? Repeat the
Yeah.
ages again.
Like I said, the late 20s, mid 30s,
Okay.
in that range, and we'll see. But yeah, I'm working on that next. I'm real excited about it. I've been working on it for like 2 years now because
wow.
it actually, I started working on it before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then I started helping out other filmmakers in there, and I took a break from it. But I've been working on a thing, like I said, for like 2 years. It is 75% special effects, like green screen. Again, because it is future and it takes place in different locations around the world. So I really took a lot of what I learned in return, and I put it all into this short film. And then after that, we'll be doing return 2.
Okay. And then what about yourself, Marlon?
Oh, for me, well, I recently signed a book deal with Urban Books.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So I think it's about 2023. My next novel will be coming out. So I don't want to give too many details out yet until everything is completely ironed out. But that's coming up in the future for me right now. Okay. And along with working with Lamont on Ladies Night 27/7. So that's on the docket.
Okay, outstanding. Trying to see if there's any other questions in here. Bear with me just a second. Can do better. But every version of, I guess they're talking about like legend on there. I am legend. Okay, so so the anything else at this time that you would like to mention to everyone that we didn't discuss? Any other things you want to discuss at this time?
No. Go get the books.
Yeah,
Return 2.
Yeah, Return 2. Bridge to Sion is available now.
Yeah, pick it up.
It's available now. Go get it. Go get it at www.creativegeniusfilms.com.
Yes.
Right? You said they can get the movies. They also can get the books from there. We also put on here ways for you to get in touch with Lamont and also how you can get in touch with Marlon. So, gentlemen, we have had a magnificent time. I couldn't have requested or had a better set of gentlemen in front of me today. I know you're doing incredible, amazing things. Like we said earlier, we can't wait to return to. Can't wait, Lamont, for this new film that you and Marlon are working on. Can't wait for the books. And hope to see you again next year at the Fresh Book Festival. But before we leave, any kind of last comments or remarks you want to leave with the audience? Any words of encouragement that you would like to leave with them?
Again, if you want to make a film, make the film. Go in that direction. Just head in that direction, and you'll be amazed at the support you get during that journey. So make it, yeah.
And I would just like to say, everybody out there that's supporting us, make sure you support Teresa Jordan also.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting us on your platform and highlighting us.
Absolutely. And special shout out to Victoria Marie. Again, she helped us write Return, so we can't forget Victoria Marie. Thank you, V. I see you, man.
So definitely when you get Return 2, we definitely want you gentlemen to come back again. So make sure y'all lock out some time because we want you back on the platform again. Triumphant Magazine Show. Definitely follow the gentlemen, like we said, Lamont and also Marlon. They can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to them through the website. Follow me through Facebook at Triumphant Magazine. We also have the YouTube channel. We have TikTok and Instagram. Yes, follow us. Share this with others. As we mentioned before, even after the show, if you have questions for Lamont or either Marlon or both of them, just put it in the comments section. We will be paying attention to it. and we will send you a response. So thank you so much for joining us today at the Triumphant Magazine Show. So we're getting ready to close out. We hope to see you again. We'll be back on Tuesday for Triumphant Tuesdays, and it always starts at 8 p.m. So we hope to see you at that time. And we do have a special coming out on Tuesday morning. So gentlemen, stay where you are, but we thank all of you for being in today, whether you came in through YouTube or whether you came in through Facebook. So once again, please share, and we're getting ready to close out for today. So until next time, take care and be blessed.